Hello. I want to go over some of my thoughts on the tarot and why it works, and also some of the things I think are not really looked into too much. So I thought I would put this together, and you might get something out of it. Any logical analysis to a question or an objective we're looking into requires breaking the whole into parts, and that's what we do when we create a card spread. Each position of a card spread, the meaning of that position is supposed to be pertaining to as an aspect of the question we're looking into. And so you break the question apart into these positions. And before you lay a card into those positions, you've already broken the question apart just by saying, I'm going to use a Celtic cross, or I'm going to use a horseshoe spread or a horoscope spread. You know that you know what you're doing as far as how you're breaking this question apart. You're using a template of position meanings that are meant to be useful to any question you're looking into, and the reader makes that judgment on which card spread to use for that. And so then you make some changes to those. You find advice or find um, ideas for each position, and then you put the question all back together again. After you've broken it apart, you put it all back together again, and now you have something totally different than when you start, because you've taken aspects of this question and you've made adjustments or found answers to them. So now the question has some answers to it. And a creative thinking process and a tarot reading shows us answers that we didn't see before we sat down to look at this question, which is what makes it so powerful. So if you look at it that way, really, if you just take one of those aspects of a card spread, or if it's a creative thinking technique, you want to look at it that way, it's the same thing. But let's say you're a creative consultant and you're looking at something, and you do that, you break the question apart and you're looking into these things. And if you change one aspect, just one, when you put that back together as a whole, you have something different now. So not every aspect has to be changed. Something doesn't have to be found for every aspect. And that's true at a card reading too. So you have a Celtic cross, let's say, or you have any card spread. You've changed one position in some important way. It might be all that's needed to do. So if you're reading cards, you don't have to think that everything has to be something profound found in every position. You have a question, you're looking for answers for that question, and for this client, you might only have to change one thing, one position. So if you have some position on this question that's really screaming at you, look into it and look into it deeper. And don't think, well, I got to find out all these other positions. I got to find answers for them. No, you don't. And you could also lay extra cards in that position. So let's say you got a Celtic cross, you got 10 positions there. And let's say position 3 seems to really be the important here, as far as what's the problem is, or what could be changed to really move things in the right direction. Position 3 on my Celtic cross is efforts you're currently making right now. Lots of times people, when something comes up, the efforts that they're making right now, they're in a panic mode, and they're making unwise decisions. So if they slow down and look at it, think, well, the efforts I'm trying to do right now, maybe I should change that. Maybe I should look into something different here. And that's all it needs to be changed. And if you're looking for answers, and maybe you just got one card, you got one card there, position 3, you got one card. Well, you want to lay down a couple more cards in that position, go ahead. So maybe you put 2 or 3 more cards down there. Spark ideas. See what comes up. Not going to hurt nothing. Maybe the other position's only got one card, but position 3, man, you're throwing a couple extra cards there. You want some ideas for position 3. I think that's where we really need to look at, what we really need to focus on. So that's an aspect I think is not really brought up too much, but I think a lot of experienced readers will tell you the reading was a success because of one card. And not every reading, but a lot of them. This card came up and we hit it with this card. Well, that aspect was important. You found something, you changed it. You put this question all back together again, and you got a whole different situation now. And I don't think card splits are usually looked at that way. And I think it's a good attitude to have with the card split. You're looking for important answers. And maybe you only need to change one position to get this objective, this goal to become a success, to have something what this person wants done. Maybe they only need to find one answer there. And if you want to throw a couple extra cards in that position, go ahead and do it. Ain't gonna hurt. So you can bend the rules a little bit. And nothing wrong with that. And your client will appreciate it if you got some useful advice for them because of it, especially if it works. And that's what we're doing. We're making predictions. So people say, what do you do? I say, well, I make predictions. And predictions are just new ideas. Any new idea you have is a prediction. So you haven't done it yet. Still to be done in the future. Lots of predictions we make are very pretty sure that they're going to happen. If I decide I'm going to go brush my teeth right now, that's a prediction. I go, and more than likely I could have that done. And most readings aren't that easy. But but it shows, but any idea you have is a prediction. And usually you don't have a lot of information with the predictions you're making as a reader. So any information you can get from the client, ask questions. I ask a lot of questions with my clients. And if they get to know me, they don't mind that at all. They don't mind answering those questions. So don't be afraid to ask questions. It'll help your reading. So one position might be all you need to change. And if you got a situation where you think, you know what, if I think everything else here looks pretty good, if you just change this one thing here, and that's your best chance for success. I use the example with, I said position 3 on my cross. Position 3 is the actions you're currently taking right now with this situation. And position 4 is what you're trying to achieve immediately, the immediate goals you're trying to achieve. The actions you're taking in 3 is to achieve initial goals in position 4. Position 9 is the purpose, the big goals, but position 4 is what you're trying to achieve right now. Position 3 is the immediate actions you're taking. And I use the example of the guy gets a reading because they broke up, his girlfriend and him broke up. And she says to him, let's just back away and for a time, and I just need a little space. I just need a little space, think about things. So we're just gonna back away for a while. And so he's calling her every day, trying to come up with ideas to get together again, and he's calling her every day. And the things he's talking about really aren't going to get him anywhere. So those are the actions he's taken, position 3. Those are not the right actions to take. She said, I need a little space right now. So the best chance he has with this is to just leave it alone. Give her 2 weeks and give her some space. Let her have time to think about things. In the meantime, you might want to jot some stuff down to talk about, but you'll talk with her again. So what he's doing right now, those actions he's taking right now are hurting him. He's bugging her. And it'd be better off if he just left her alone. Important. Probably the most important part of the whole situation. She wanted some space, give her some space. Position 3. Best chance you have to resolving things and salvaging the relationship in that situation. We didn't even throw a card, just the positions. We're just looking at the positions. Didn't even throw a card. So lots of times the positions are just, there are aspects of the question we got to look into. The cards are used to spark ideas for answers to those positions meanings. But ideas that you didn't see before. There are randomness, there are blind variable that are used to make you see ideas you would never think about. New ideas. Productive thinking instead of reproductive thinking, which is what you've already learned. But lots of times reproductive thinking works just fine. Like I just said, leave her alone for a couple of weeks and let her have her space. That's all. You're bugging her. So leave her alone. That's your best chance. So looking at the meanings of the positions and seeing what advice you can give before you even throw a card. Or before you can even read a card. Maybe you have the cards laid out, but before you even read them, you start talking. And, lots of times that'll work. And that's all it's needed. That's just an example. So one position would have changed the whole thing from what he's doing right now to make things better for him. And not saying it's going to happen, but you are showing him how he can increase his chances of success of salvaging things and making things happen. And that's a prediction. So one position. Like I said, throw a couple extra cards on. If you see that position really being important, you want a little help, throw a couple more cards in. If you think you need them. The card spreads we have right now are templates. You know, you see the Celtic Cross, you see the Gypsy spread, you see the horoscope spread and others classic spreads. And each position has meaning. And you're told what these meanings are. And then cards are laid into those positions to spark ideas for answers to those positions' meanings as they pertain to the question you're looking into. And but if you want to change the position meanings to something that's more useful, you can still keep it a template. But if you want to make a template that has meanings that would be more useful to any question asked of it, no matter what the question is, you've created a very good card spread. And I think it's very easy to do, especially over time. You can fine tune and tweak here and adjust, slightly adjust there and move this a little bit here, reword this meaning here. And you start to, is your card spread starts to fit the way you see things, which allows you to help him or her find answers, you being the reader. So you can move those positions around, those meanings around. Go ahead. Try a meeting, and if you don't like it, try a different one. Not a problem. I wanted to mention tomorrow, the 9th of November, is our Zoom meeting. 12 o'clock Chicago time. Everybody's welcome. And that's that. I wanted to mention that. So card spread positions. Sometimes one position is all that needs to be changed. Change the whole thing. A card spread is your question broken apart into sections. You change one section, when you put it back together now, you got something totally different. Just one section. Yeah, you might change them all, but you're going to find that usually certain positions are more important in the reading than others, depending on what the question is. So see you all tomorrow. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon.